Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 12 of Cosplay Photo Critique. I can't believe we're at 12 of these already. Feels it's a year's worth, I guess, give or take. Um, this episode we're joined by Don Dolce. Don, thanks for being with us. We really appreciate it.
All right.
How about you give us a little bit of like background on kind of like how long you've been shooting cosplay photography, what got you into it, and like what your favorite things to shoot are.
Uh, wait. Let me put the chat in that one. Well, let's see here. Well, my friends. Let's see. Well, I think our first con was Anime North. One that Felix one calls parking lot con, and I went to the first two, like just like go in dealer's room, calm, going kind of thing, and then I'd go home like thinking, okay, I waste my money a lot on buying these merchandise, but and it's not really doing anything. So I wanted to do something more productive. So uh, okay, maybe I'll start taking pictures because what I thought was okay, I would see cosplays at the convention, and then when I go home, I see pictures online, and I see the good cosplays, like their pictures are pretty bad. So I thought I could do better.
did
Yeah,
did you
yeah. So I bought I don't know, it was like the best point and shoot at the time. It was called the Panasonic LX5,
Wow.
and I bought it because it could shoot raw, and I thought, if it's raw, it'll be the same like a DSLR raw, but that's not the case because it's not the sensor's much smaller, right? So you can't really do much when you edit
mm,
anyway. So. Yeah, so I did that for the con, and then I went home, I took the photos out, and then I looked at them, and like they're pretty bad. So
That's me
uh,
every convention.
yeah, you get
Just
home and
kidding.
you're like, wow, these photos suck.
Like, wow, these are terrible.
yeah, you look at the screen, it looks good, and then luckily my
Back the screen syndrome.
dad he had he had an for some I don't know how he got it, but his friend gave him a Nikon D50,
Oh,
which
nice.
is which one of the yeah, it was one of the super old DSLRs. So Um, we used it for family photos, and okay, I wanted to use it for the convention, so I started shooting convention photos with it, and then yeah, I found out like, they look so much better than the ones you take on the point and shoot because of like you can play with the depth of field and stuff. And then that's why it all started. I also pretty good photos, so maybe I can start taking more photos and get better. So that's when I started watching like a bunch of YouTube videos, digital red TV. Uh, yeah, but then I quit at some point because I wanted to do video because I saw Axon's videos and I was like, oh, okay. Uh,
I
they
love
cost
that
like
you started video. They're so good.
no, because I quit photography at some point. To try to
Well,
do
now you're
video,
back, so.
and then I did an exchange in Japan for 4 months. As part of my school program, and since in Japan they don't let you do video as much, so I couldn't do a lot of like doing video work. They only let you take photos for a lot of the events. So I just went around Japan with my camera and taking photos, and then I joined a photo group in Tokyo. Like it's like a photo walk group, and I met a guy who did cosplay photos because just randomly, so it's super random. And he taught me a lot about like using Flash and like a softbox because he would bring me to like the mini cosplay meetups in Japan because he knew fluent Japanese and I didn't. Um, so he would like take photos and like tell me how he does it and stuff. So it was pretty cool. And I learned a lot of like Flash stuff from him. Like initially I was so bad at Flash, and then everything was reinforced by like YouTube videos and whatnot. And then I came back to Canada. I was like, okay, I'll start using Flash, and I bought a 35 millimeter in Japan, and I used that for like 2 years, and I got tired of using 35 millimeter. So that's why I use a lot of telephoto now. But yeah, that's how I started.
Awesome. Do you have any preference? Like, do you prefer location shots or con shooting, or do you
Uh,
not really put much thought into that?
well, I don't really like studio shooting.
I suck
I'm
at
more like,
studio.
I
yeah,
don't
it's like a
like
studio too.
studio.
It's just playing with so much lights, and I really like shooting at the convention because one, a lot of cosplayers they're so busy they only bring like their best some of their cosplays to that convention and they don't bring it anywhere else, or they don't have time for like off location shoots.
I always love
And
the like atmosphere and speed of shooting at a convention.
Yeah, same.
yeah,
Puts me
But Don, you're so good with lights.
oh no, I'm tired. It's too heavy. Like carrying all the gear. Like
yeah,
you're
no,
You're like one of the
relatable.
best though. I remember the first time I worked with you, you like something was off and you would know exactly how to move it like 5 inches or something to the left and then it would be perfect. And I was like, oh my god, this guy understands lights
no,
so
no,
well.
there's like other people.
No.
That was pretty good at Flash.
No, you're one of my favorites. I like your natural light stuff too, obviously.
Oh, thanks.
Awesome. Before we jump into the critique, I want to give a special thank you. So if some of you guys may have noticed, Sarah sounds if she sounds better tonight, it's because we were able to get a new microphone for her. And the reason we were able to do that is because of some of the viewers' donations. So I want to give a special thanks out to Atelier Heidi, Bobo de Hobo, Con Mom Photography, and Diegus Montegius. Hopefully I pronounced all of those right, but who knows? So
Thank you
yeah,
guys.
this is insane that you guys were willing to donate for this, and we're incredibly thankful for that. So we just wanted to let you know that we super appreciate it. And that's where that money went into getting a new mic. If anyone knows how to best optimize audio via Discord, though, let me know, because we're all about trying to try and get that best audio that we can, and I think Discord's cutting it down, the quality down a little bit. So the more we can figure that out, the better. So yeah, but no, special huge thank you goes out to those guys for doing that. That said, also not to say this is a donation need by any means, but have a new goal that I'm working towards to get a stream deck to help manage these streams a little easier. So if you enjoy these, or you just feel like being generous, or you're learning things and appreciative, don't feel obligated by any means to leave a donation. But if you can, and you are into it and want to, feel free to just leave a small donation. Links in the bottom of my Twitch page. So no pressure by any means. Do not feel even remotely obligated. Just letting people know that is a thing that's there. Trying to think any other things we want to say before we jump into this, or should we get right into the critique? Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. As always, we're gonna go in alphabetical order by submission, like first name. It just makes our lives easier. I would love to go by order, like time wise of submission, but such is life. That makes my time much more complicated. So we're not doing that. Just want to quick get in there. MX Duo, thanks so much for the Twitch Prime subscription. Other things, if you submitted for the critique after Tuesday at midnight Central Time, your photo will be critiqued, just not in this critique. I need to have some sort of a cutoff, because otherwise I will go insane trying to one, critique as many photos as we can, and two, just in terms of like, it takes me a while to set up these critiques every week, so I kind of need to give myself time to be able to make sure that everything's set up. So that's why I have that cutoff there. Just letting those people know that have submitted, that I'm not ignoring anyone's work. It's just that, unfortunately, because of that, I need to push it to the next critique. That said, at the end of this critique, I'll give you guys some information about the following one. So we don't necessarily have the date, but we do have the guest. So I'll let you know about the guest at the end of this critique. So, with that, ooh, let me see. I just want to read this real quick. For Discord, you can change the bitrate of voice channel to the highest, which is 96. Default is 64. I will look into that after this critique. Thanks for that information, L Dragon 555. Okay, with that, let's jump into the critique. So, this first photo is from Alex. Sarah, you wanna lead us off here?
Yeah. So this image really caught my eye. I'm really glad we're starting off with this photo because I think it's like super, super fun. And you don't see a lot of oh my god, Splatoon photos or Splatoon cosplayers. So I'm always really excited when I see them. I think I'm gonna assume this is on location unless this convention conveniently had a really
That's
nice
a dope
graffiti
location
wall.
if it's at a convention.
Right? I was like, this location is so freaking perfect. Like,
Yeah, it
I think
works
the background
awesome
is
for
super,
Splatoon.
super fun, and the colors are like so bright. I just really, really love it. And the cosplayer's pose is so sassy, which I think really works well for this character. There are some things I noticed, just these are some like minor like cleanup details, but like sometimes when you're working in these like alleyways, there's like miscellaneous trash that we trash humans leave behind. So I wish that the piece of paper on the ground had been removed, and I think there's like a crumpled receipt or something. Like, I know it's kind of gross, and even if you don't want to touch it, usually what I'll do is like I'll just take my feet and just like kick it out of the way. Yeah. Because I think the paper on the ground could have been removed easily, but the piece of paper in the background would have been a little more difficult. So just to, like alleviate yourself when you're editing, like just keeping in mind of those kinds of things when you're shooting. Yeah, so those are my initial thoughts.
I totally echo that. Location's awesome. Which in turn, the colors are super awesome in this shot. And also my eyes like immediately clue in on that trash. There's other things I want to talk in, but the other thing that kind of my eye keys in on is that drainage spout. I don't know what the entirety of the background looks like, but like my eyes are really like focused in on it. If it was possible to do this shot like with a different section of background, I think it would have looked better if you had like a entirely brick unbroken up by that drainage spout. That said, if that's what you had to work with, that was the best spot, then I don't, it's not a huge problem, but just something, if it was something that you could have changed, I would have tried to do that.
Okay, my initial impressions, yeah, I really like the backdrop of the picture. Again, like what Sarah said, the trash on the ground can be distracting. It's a super easy patch fix. But what I would have done is if you can't, well, a lot of times I hate shooting people against a wall if it's like directly facing it. So I would make the cosplayer stand a few more steps away from the wall. So if you shoot with a prime lens, you can get more separation between the background and the subject, and that'll give you more blur. I guess it's a small thing. It's a very minor thing, but
Yeah,
it's something
I don't know if that would particularly bother me since it's such an interesting background. Like if it was a boring one, I'd say more likely would try and aim for getting a little bokeh in that background. But since it's just kind of like such interesting graffiti, I don't necessarily totally feel that way. That said,
but yeah, that's subjective. Yeah.
The other thing that's getting me about this image, and I feel like it's because it's off only minorly that it's bothering me more than it should, is the framing. Her pose is awesome, but it kind of like, she doesn't feel centered. The frame kind of feels crooked. To those in chat, I don't really feel like this is a Dutch angle, but I'm gonna say Dutch angle anyways, just for you guys.
No.
I don't really feel like this is a Dutch angle, but it kind of feels odd with the horizontal lines kind of converging a little oddly. I would try and have done this a bit more straight on, um, and just make sure that like I'm fine with her being centered, but right now, like her body just feels slightly not centered. Maybe shoot this ever so slightly wider, and then try and do just a little bit better job of centering her.
I think the Dutch angle is fine. The lines in her eyes are leading the pretty much the same direction, and it doesn't really affect the shot. Because like if you turn it straight, you would have a photo with the spout going down, and it could look awkward.
So what I was gonna say though is I don't think this is. I mean, maybe it's a little bit of a Dutch angle. It's more that like
It's at a tilt that doesn't feel intentional for at least for me.
yeah, like it's less that it's at the Dutch angle and more that the wall is like slightly falling away from the camera. Um, and like if you're gonna do that, I think either make the wall do it at more of an angle so the wall falls off more, or go straight onto the wall. I think this shot actually would work better if you just shot straight onto the wall. You've got an interesting enough wall that it works as an awesome backdrop if you just have it feel flat. That would be my go-to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, just to change subject really quick, because Mel is talking about it in the chat right now, and it's something I wanted to bring up too. Is the color grading for this? I think could have this is a great opportunity. I mean, I say this every freaking stream, but this is a perfect example of a moment where playing with colors in a photo is like set up so well. Like you can't get more colorful and kooky than Splatoon. I think I personally would have liked to see the colors played around with a bit more with this. She also suggested, where was it? Light leaks and stuff, just like something to like bring it to life more, I think would have been nice.
Yeah, I think maybe if you that kind of like more teal color in the background of the graffiti, if you had that like changed it to kind of match her like her green, that could
Yeah,
really be cool. Kind of really
that
bring
would have been
a
fun.
connection in. I keep coming back to it in this shot when I look at it. Her pose is just so on point, though. Like
It's so sassy.
Yeah,
really-
the arms are through the pockets, the
Yeah.
hips raised, the
Yeah.
legs are straight. Yeah, it's
She's
nice.
working it,
yeah,
And the expression on her face is like point on, spot on.
right?
yeah. So that is definitely the highlight of the photo for me.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Any other thoughts on this one before we move on to the next shot?
I think I'm good.
Also, just wanted to say, because I always forget to, we're definitely trying to follow chat along as the stream goes. So we're all trying to look. That said, we might miss some things, but if you guys want to like, feel free to give your opinions as we go, because there might be some things that we miss or just unique perspectives. We always appreciate it. So yeah, keep chatting. Okay, so with that, let's move on to this the next image. This one is from Amanda. Let me switch that over. Don, you want to start us off on the shot?
Okay. I like the pose. It's great, and I really like the photo manipulation in the back. It looks like there's hail or snow. I'm not
Yeah,
sure what it is.
got like a bit of an overlay there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if that building in the back is manipulated. Oh, it's not. I don't think it is. No, there's a reflection off the mirror, and it looks realistic to me. Yeah, but the pose is good. But to make it more like a battle stancy pose, I would make her maybe crunch her knees a bit more. But other than that, their expression is good, cosplay is nice, and the lighting is spot on.
Yeah, I was gonna say the lighting in this is super nice. And Amanda's submitted before, and she's definitely grown a lot from each photo that she submitted. I think lighting is like the biggest thing I've seen. It just keeps getting like better and better every photo. But I do agree. I'm not sure how I feel about the special effects because it's like they're very like I almost want it to be like a little more like obvious. If that makes any sense? Like right now they feel a little tame, I guess.
Yeah, they
So I'm not
feel.
really
I'm having a hard
soft
time placing what they are.
what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like yeah, it's like Fluffy Fox Photo said there's like some green flare, so I'm not sure what that green flare is. I mean, I don't play Bridget. Maybe it's
Uh,
special.
that has nothing to do with Brigette at all.
I think that flare may have been photoshopped in as well when I zoom in on it. I'm not certain
the
though.
green part?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really understand what it is.
Yeah, because I don't
is
think
it a flare?
I don't know. I feel like it should be flare, but I can't really tell. But it wouldn't make sense for that to be a flare because there's no light flaring in. Like it's not even being shot from that. Like the light direction isn't coming towards the lens, so like there shouldn't be a flare. So it's kind of I don't know. If it's a flare, it feels weird. If it's not a flare, I have no idea what that is.
Mm-hmm.
I think to me, I really like the kind of sharpness on her. She feels really punchy. It kind of jumps out of the photo really well. Where I feel like the photo falls down a little bit to me is a bit of the composition and a bit of the framing. We got like a really square frame. It's not quite like 1-to-1, but it's not more like an 8x10 framing. And it kind of feels like she's the cosplayer is not quite centered, but not like on a third, and just the framing isn't quite working for me. I think if you made this a bit more vertical and cropped in on the left, I think you'd have a stronger image. It also cuts out that red building in the background for the most part, which I don't like. That doesn't particularly bother me at all, having that gone. So I'd give that a try, just cropping it in on the left to make it a bit more of a vertical shot, and see how you feel about that. In terms, go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, sorry.
No.
I was gonna say, that there's so many like wide variety of maps now in Overwatch that if they had just moved her over to the right more and using just the building on the right for the background, I think it would have made it a much stronger image. Because right now I think I'm so distracted by all of the things that are in the background that aren't really serving a purpose. But also I don't know what the shooting space was like. I don't know if it just wasn't possible to move or what. But yeah, just kind of like limiting what's in your background would have helped.
Yeah. I think for me, if you shot this like with at a bit more like if you're the camera and you moved a little bit more to the left, so you have the mostly just that building in the background, and you're not getting like the road in the background, that could work. That said, if you liked this specific shot, I think if you got lower, and so she has it like and kind of had her surrounded by the building. So if like you took her, got low and then made her positioned in between the buildings in terms of how you're shooting it, could make her feel a lot more epic, I guess. And that could work well for framing if you wanted to keep that in the background as well. That also gets a problem. Like I see the car in the background and like I just don't want to see. I just don't want to see that car.
Yeah.
For me, well, I really like filling the frame when I take photos. So with this, when I see a lot like blank space, like you see like there's a bunch of space just used by the road, I would have took the shot in a landscape. So I would have went under her chest and then point the camera upward, and then take the same shot in the same pose, and then you would get a lot of the background, the buildings in the back, and it would look more heroic too, because you're below her.
Yeah. Amanda says in the Facebook chat that that green part was part of the overlay she was using. So at least we know about that now. That makes sense. And she said there was a busy bar to the left, sadly.
Oh no. Just whack him with that hammer, it's fine.
That's a busy bar.
Yeah, I guess I can see where that would be. Man, looking at this still, though, I really like how those colors pop on her, though. The yellows and
Me
the
too.
reds, those look really great.
Yeah, the colors are amazing.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on this one, or before we move on to the next one?
No.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next shot. This one is from Brett. Immediately looking at this, I love the mood of this shot. Disclaimer, as always, don't know Fate at all, so I'm not don't expect for any perspective actually knowing Fate while we're talking about this photo. Watch his chat explodes now. But
help us Fate fans, aka Mason Hikari photo.
No.
Yeah, but the mood is so good.
It really is.
I love how not only is it like just in terms of like the color grading is with the mood, but like her pose works well with it. The overlays work well with it. Just kind of the entire vibe fits really well. I also like how different of a cosplay photo that this is. I feel like you don't see too many shots that really feel like they're trying to capture like a do a bit more of a story and tell like kind of like right before a moment of action. I think it's a really interesting and unique approach.
It's super cinematic. Like I feel tense just kind of like looking at it because you can tell that the character is anticipating. I mean, I don't know if they actually kill people. I'm gonna assume that they do, but they're getting ready to pounce on their next victim, and it looks. I love it.
The only thing that I feel like in this shot, I wish was adjusted pose wise, is her left arm, the one that's touching the ground. I wish that was like outside of her knee, so that it just kind of brought her shoulder back a little bit. Just the way that she's posed with it down on the ground there gives her back, especially with her body covered up by that pillar, it kind of like artificially makes her look a little bit more like hunchbacked than she actually is, because you see a lot of her back.
That's a good point.
So if you could get her to pose with her like arm a little bit like outside of that knee, maybe even like rest like if she had her like hand on the pillar, that would roll the shoulder back, and you'd get less of her back showing, and it'd kind of feel a bit more natural.
Fluffy Fox Photo brought up something that we brought up in the previous stream, that the dodge and burn is straight pimpin'.
Yep, I see it right there.
Couldn't agree more.
Even I can do that.
This is an example of like a dodge and burn job that I'm like, how do you do that? Like, I just don't understand. Like, that highlight on their cheek is just like, it's so good. And also like in the whole like retouch area, like the skin retouching on this, I think is so amazing. Like, I love that there's still texture to the cosplayer's skin.
Yeah, I can definitely see it.
Yeah, you don't lose the freckles. Like, I don't know, it's just like super sick.
Yeah,
It's just done so well.
Probably the only area that feels overdone to me is the eyes.
The eyes, I would say the eyes are a little, what do we call laser eyes?
Yeah, laser eyes.
Yeah.
Or alien eyes is what I usually call
Alien eyes. Yeah, alien eyes. A little
where
too much.
they're just a bit too intense in terms of like brightness. It doesn't
Unless the character's eyes glow or something, I wouldn't put it past Fate to do something crazy like that. But...
it doesn't feel too bad to me zoomed out. But I still would just have toned it down a little bit.
Smidge, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because if I can zoom in for chat here, see if I can get this going. Just see the eyes. They're pretty strong. And then fucking Mason Hikari comes in and goes, Jack the Ripper's eyes do glow.
Dude,
like,
invalidates. I called it.
And then invalidates everything. We're done. This is why we shouldn't critique Fate.
The only reason that I said that is because it even though I felt they were a little too bright, I think because it's done so realistically almost, it felt
this one was hardly a cardinal sin as they are sometimes.
Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah. Can we also talk about how clean this wig is? Either he had to touch up a ton of flyaways, or this person's wig was impeccable. Just saying. I don't understand that.
Yeah, it looks fucking good.
Wind.
There's no flyaways. I don't understand. Also, yay short wigs.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'll do it.
Sorry, we've been doing all the talking about.
Yeah, I think everything is great about this photo. The lighting, the expression, the pose. Yeah, what they super minor. This is super minor. You know, I really like seeing more of the cosplay. For me at least, I would just move the cosplay maybe 1 or 2 steps out from the pillar, but that's super minor.
No, I agree with you on that.
Apparently the wig was that way, which holy cow.
What?
That shit. The as I look at this shot more, the only things I feel like the overlays, especially in the bottom right corner, brightens the image a little bit much. I think the overlay works well, but what I would probably do is then burn that corner to kind of compensate for it a little bit, because my eyes, like both bottom corners, my eyes end up getting like pulled a little bit to those spots. And I think if you just darken them up a little bit, you could keep the overlay still, but then not have to worry about kind of it pulling the eyes those way. Just wanted to give a final thought on the color grading though. I love how natural it feels, but also dark and moody. It feels like a strong color grade without feeling like color crazy. So that can be easier said than done. So
let's say I'm envious of people who can color grade in a more muted color palette. Like I feel like whenever I try to do it, it looks flat and boring and just gray. But like this is just so well done.
Yeah, sometimes I almost feel like when you're doing that, you need to like recalibrate your eyes sometimes.
You do, because like you're so accustomed to seeing color like every day. Yeah. This image is sick. You're killing it.
Any other final thoughts from on this one from you two?
Oh no. Good.
Cool. Then we're gonna move on to the next shot. This one is from a very frequent submitter, if not submitting every time. I think she submitted for every critique. I think. Christine W. Why don't you lead us off on this fluffy fox shot, Sarah?
Cool. So something that like I was really impressed by, like pretty much immediately, is like I'm going to assume this was shot at a convention in a hotel.
Yes, at ASUN.
And nice.
Yeah.
I can't get over like how well the color correction was for this, because you know when you shoot in a hotel, it just always looks like crap unless you're like in the Gaylord because there's so much natural light, but there's always like that either like extreme like yellow tone or like extreme like blue tone. But this one I feel like is white balanced so well that I'm like, how do you do that? And the image just feels so clean and crisp. Like I really, really love the saturated colors. I don't know, the shot just feels really sophisticated overall, and I really think they did a really good job. Not sure who the character is, but I feel like they're a power boss lady, and that's captured really well in this.
It's Yakuza. I think it's Yakuza, but I could be wrong.
Know what that
Maybe Fluffy Fox can let us know.
is.
Because I see her in chat. Yeah, it's Yakuza femme version of main character or something. Yeah, no, I totally agree on that white balance. It looks like it just looks right.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I like the pose. I like the framing. It's like you can see like he's not overlapping any of the bosses background. And the only minor thing is like the right hand is pointing forward towards the camera. Maybe super subjective. I would just tilt it more inward because her other hands are also inward.
Yeah, I feel like if she had her like weight a little bit on that as well, like so you could kind of like her body's pretty up straight, so if she could kind of have a lean on that to put a bit of her angle, that would kind of fix the arm and then
See,
kind of have a bit more of an angle in her as well.
And another thing that kind of irks me is the first thing I look at for any photo is the expression. So the expression is the number one most important thing for me. And maybe just make her smile a bit more or look away from the camera, like as if she's looking at somewhere else. That'll give more meaning to the photo. Because right now she's just looking at the camera. I don't know about you guys, but
I don't know if the look to the camera feels bad. I think maybe if she had like a bit of a smirk though, like her
yeah.
Yeah.
Just
her
like a
face
tiny
feels
smirk will add a lot.
I feel like her eyes are trying to say something, but like her mouth kind of feels a little flat. If she kind of had like a bit of a smirk, that could work out really well for this shot.
Yeah, that add a lot to the photo for sure.
I love how long her legs ended up looking in this shot.
Oh my god,
Like-
big mood. Envious of those long leggies.
I don't know what you're talking about, Sarah. You've got such long legs.
I'm 5 feet tall, everyone. FYI.
Yeah. I do think there's a lot of headroom in this shot. And especially because like the panel above her head is white. I would maybe have cropped it down a little bit to give her a little less headroom in the image and make her feel a bit more of the feel more of the frame.
Yeah, like I think it's the crop of the photo. It looks like a 16:9. That's vertical, and maybe that was to make her legs seem longer. But I kind of agree, like making it a normal vertical crop, like a 3 vertical, and it would make it look much more normal. But I think maybe they wanted to accentuate the legs, maybe the tall crop part
Yeah.
of that.
I generally speaking, I like 16:9. It does feel like a 16:9 crop. But I just think there just ended up being a bit too much headroom in here. It's yeah, I like it overall. I just feel like there's just a bit of it.
At the top.
I love Mason Hikari's new suggestion for a donation incentive. If you guys donate, we'll get Sarah longer legs.
No. I'll buy those platform boot shoes from Hot Topic that like everyone in China wears. It'll be a look, you guys.
New donation incentive, make Sarah taller.
Or yes, everyone needs to start shooting with a wide angle lens to make me look really tall. Thank you.
Lastly, knowing this location, I think this is just a really solid shot for the area. I've kind of given up shooting in the Hilton at Asen because just it doesn't look that great, but I think it works really well for this shot. So yeah, I props on that. You guys got any final thoughts on this one, or ready to move on to the next shot?
I'm good. God, this chat is on fire right
Yeah,
now.
I know. I'm trying to follow
everyone.
chat, and I'm just like, oh my god, it's hard. It's moving fast. You guys are blowing us away tonight. Okay, let's move on to the next shot.
I have a fun tidbit about this shot before we start.
This one's from our favorite. Oh, I was gonna say our favorite Felix. Maybe true, but that sounds mean. From FX Dandy. Don, why don't you want to take us off on the shot?
First of all, this photo is super sharp. I cannot believe how sharp this is. Is it like a Sony or Sigma? I don't.
I know it's shot on a Sony. Couldn't tell you. I think it's probably a Sony lens as well. I think that's what
I feel like it is Sony.
Yeah, I really like how he changed the color of the sky to suit for the mood of the photo, because I never knew that.
No. This is one of his older photos. This was still back on Nikon. I checked the metadata. It's Nikon D7100.
What? But he just shot this.
I don't know. Maybe the metadata's lying to me, but it's saying
Felix, clarify.
Sorry, go continue, Don. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No worries. Yeah. Pose is great. Let's see here. Well, it looks like I don't know this series personally. It looks like this is like one of those proposal type of photos, and it would add a lot if she would look at the monk.
Yes.
Is he a monk? I'm not sure.
I mean,
kind of. He's like the one who takes care of all of them.
But I understand. I completely understand why he made her look up, is to get those catch lights, right? But because when she looks down, there's no catch light at all.
Mm-hmm.
But because I do that sometimes as well, because I want the catch lights. And it can get addicting. But if she down, like she was getting that from
I knowing the relationship in the show between these two, I really think that like I really like how her face looks in this shot, but I agree. I would love to have her looking at him.
Agreed. So funny or not funny, interesting tidbit. Felix was telling me that the cosplayers in this photo, this was their first photo shoot, like ever.
Which dope. It's impressive.
Right? I was like, they look so good. I was like, my first photo shoot, I was so fucking awkward. Like, didn't know what I was doing. So the fact that she's even looking at the camera and looks confident is like super impressive to me.
The one thing I don't care what camera Felix shot on this, but what I really need to know is, was he wearing his leather jacket when he shot this? Like that's the most important information I can learn about this photo. I really, really dig the background of this shot.
Me too.
Just kind of how it falls out of focus. It feels really ambiguous. I don't know what's kind of in like the upper left corner of the bokeh, but it kind of ends up feeling like almost mountainous to me. And I think this was this is SakuraCon. I've never been. But man, this does not feel like a con location at all. Like,
no.
This feels like a location shoot to me. So like, hell yeah, dude.
This feels so dreamy. Like, Hoseki already has a very like fantastical, dreamy feel to it, and the fact that he was able to shoot that feeling at a con, man, dude. Oh my God.
Sakura-kan I love Japan, period. Oh, chat's gonna be flying now. Shit.
I was like, Heidi's trying to be helpful, and we're just talking about the goddamn Sakura-con meme commercial.
Yeah, I kind of wish too that they were like, so if you're doing the shot again, have him be more to the right and kind of take this more of an angle so you can get them have that connection, but less so you're shooting the back of his head and the front of hers, and more so you're maybe not completely sideways to them, but a bit more sideways to them, so that you can feel a bit more of the connection between the two of them. I also, the last thing is, I wish the greens on the right of the frame were maybe a bit bluer to match
The hair?
maybe not the hair, but just the rest of the background. We got like a lot of like blues and purples,
Oh, I
and
see.
there's some greens there, but I think they're a bit like the greens on the right of the frame are just like a bit saturated, and just a bit too bright and green. So maybe like changing the hue just a little bit, saturation a little bit, brightness a little bit, you're gonna kind of make it feel a bit more in line with the rest of the photo. I think that could work really well. I still
Just
go ahead, Tom.
go ahead. Oh, like if I were to pose her differently, I would have that right hand against the branch that's diagonal. So and if you shoot it at a lower angle, it will look like he's kind of floating away, and then you know that type of shots right there where like the, the girl's floating away, and then the guy's grabbing her hand type of shot. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'd do that, just kind of knowing the show and the
It's just the
connection,
angle,
but yeah,
and the angle.
yeah.
It would work so well because her
True,
hand
true,
would be the
yeah,
same way as the hand and her face.
yeah. I
It would
I
just
could
look
buy
more
into that.
natural to me. Look more natural. That's all.
I think to me though, I feel like the shot's really close.
Yep.
So
And if it were
good job,
me,
Phoenix.
I would snap those branches in front just for the framing because I did that. I do that capsicum all the time.
Don, why are
No.
you such a terrible person? Jeez. Plants deserve to live. No, I
I
do
know.
that
I
too.
mean, trees are different. I think
I
if
would-
she
I
had
would-
just come
I
out a
would
little
to-
bit further.
I would have totally done
No.
it too if it was in my way.
To the tree.
To the tree.
I feel like that's
Yes,
just way
yes,
more
to the tree.
savage than like pulling up grass or something.
I'm savage, Sarah. Get used to it.
Yeah, if you
Shit,
go to
now,
that
right?
capsicum location where the branches are, if it's like all ripped branches, that's probably me.
Well,
Wow,
now I
Don.
know who to blame.
Wow, Don. The tree did nothing wrong. Any final thoughts on this before we get way
So
off track?
distracted right now. I'm sorry, guys.
Fine.
Oh
Cool.
my god. Okay, I'm good.
Cool.
Felix, you're killing it.
Yeah,
Whatever.
Yeah, killing it, Felix.
Nice jacket.
And you said this one wasn't taken with a leather jacket, so I don't know if this really qualifies as a Felix shot.
Felix, this doesn't count.
Mallow's final thought: stop killing trees. Okay, let's move on to the next shot before we're just like trapped in limbo on this shot forever. This next one is from Firecloak. I think they submitted a previous one. This works out well because we went from one Hoseki photo to another.
You know, 2 in a row.
Wow.
Yeah, so that totally unplanned, but hey, it works out. Um, First off, I like kind of how their poses work together and kind of, I don't want to say stack well, but I can't think of another word to better state that at the moment. Um, I like the overall kind of colors and they make it feel vibrant and kind of full of life. Um, that said, I think the framing has just got a bit too wide. And I don't mean that in terms of like the angle of the lens is too wide, because that doesn't necessarily bother me, but there's just so much headroom to this shot. It kind of the cosplayers feel pretty small in this photo, and the negative space beyond them doesn't necessarily feel uh like it's aiding the photo very much. So I think I would have liked to have them fill the frame a bit more.
My initial thoughts is well, I never watched the anime, but the the girl in what's her name, the first, the in front,
Diamond.
Dia.
yeah, she looks like she's doing some heroic pose. I like that. Unless she's not, I like this heroic pose. And the persons behind her seems to be following her lead with the same pose. Um, for the backdrop, I'm not sure if the backdrop fits. Is she like a leaf? I'm not sure, but I kind of like I like the poses. I'm not sure about the backdrop, but I like the poses.
I'm
So
not actually.
I'm not sure I actually like the cosplayer in Back's pose, but maybe it's just because I'm thinking she ends up look like she's doing the Buddy Christ pose, if anyone knows.
I don't even know what that is. I don't.
Buddy Christ from Dogma.
Oh my god, yo, that's wait, sorry. Someone said it looked like Hisoki no Hero Academia. I kind of agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I'm getting that pose a little bit. It's kind of like the yeah, you kind of thing. And I'm not quite feeling it. I think also what's kind of hindering that pose more to me is the way her neck is. With it tilted in, it kind of gets like a weird perspective on her head, especially with the wide angle. So I wish it wasn't
Ah, I
tilted
see.
inwards and kind of was if anything tilted the other direction.
I was gonna actually touch on the post for the diamond. I feel like there's some kind of like foreshortening happening with her, which I don't really think is working for me. Like, and you're also completely losing her left leg. Like, I kind of wish it had been brought out to the side a little more or something. But I just feel like a lot of her body is getting lost. And actually, when
Ah,
I
I see
first
it
saw the
now.
photo, I was like kind of confused, like what the pose was like initially, especially because the pose for the Foss is like it's like I can see it right away, whereas the Dia I had to like think about it for a second. Um, yeah, I kind of wish the angle of her body wasn't so straight on, so she's literally almost kind of like a rectangle shape, and not losing her leg.
Yeah, I agree. I see that. Yeah, the leg is kind of missing in the photo, but yeah, you're right about like spreading the leg out a bit.
I mean, it's completely
Yeah.
gone. Like
Yeah.
it's like not there at all. And also, it doesn't help that the skirt from that uniform is like it's like dang, I don't know. It is not working for me, unfortunately.
Oh my God, Heidi makes a very interesting comment that I
Oh
didn't
yeah,
notice.
wait,
That's
Neil said
really
this too.
that the
Yeah.
belt lines up with the line of the grass, and it
Mhm.
makes her look cut in half. Yeah, that's really interesting. I hadn't noticed that up until now, but now that I see it, I can't unsee it, kind of thing.
I
It
kind of
was
see it.
it was literally
Yeah.
Neil's first comment, like at the top. He was like, "Oh no, the belt," and I was like, and then I saw it, and I was like, "No." I mean, it
Yeah,
kind of works for gems because they're kind
I
of
mean,
always breaking
yeah.
in a very morbid way.
Yeah. I think honestly, the more I look at it, the what kind of is throwing me off with it is that the luminance values are just all over the place, and I don't mean that isn't itself isn't necessarily a bad thing, but like it makes them feel like there's not that much separation in terms of like brightness from the background. Like they have a lot of contrast on them, a lot of highlights, a lot of shadows. The backgrounds have a lot of highlights, a lot of shadows. Like it kind of makes them not pop all that much off of the background. Um,
Oh,
Someone
interesting.
says the sky was added in post. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I
I
think
think it
if
was just
anything,
masked out poorly.
the blue maybe was darkened in terms of luminance values, but like zooming in, I really don't think that it was added in post. It's probably just a case of lowering the blue luminance slider in like Lightroom or
Mhm.
something of that case.
Like when you can tell it's shot at high aperture because of the background, and
Yeah.
yeah, you can get a lot of detail in the sky if that's the case. So it's definitely not the sky being added in post.
Yeah. No, I don't think that is the case at all.
I think this is the photographer talking in chat.
Yeah, it was highlights pushed way down, shadows pushed way up. Yeah, brushing you can see with a brush, so you can see haloing on the trees. Yeah, it's not that doesn't
Yeah.
particularly bother me. Yeah. I'm trying to think. Like things that I like about this shot. I really like the texture and tone in those bricks. Um, if you could have gotten like higher up and gotten a shot like shooting down with them against those bricks, that could have been really neat. They've got like a really nice tone to them, and I think it really works in those that section of the image. Um, someone made the comment, and I'm just gonna echo it. With said, "Wow, Twitch looks much better." Yeah. So if you're viewing
Yup.
on Facebook, I highly recommend jumping over to Twitch. I don't know why, but Facebook likes to compress the hell out of streams. Um. So yeah, I definitely recommend viewing. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt the train of thoughts we were having here. Um. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of promise with this shot. I think it's just a bit too wide and a bit too like in focus with the background.
Mhm.
Um, I think maybe too if you had brought in the one cosplayer in back, if you had brought her in so that they kind of were like similar levels of or on similar focus planes. That way, Fos would be bigger in the frame, and also you could uh, try and blur that background more because you'd be less worried about like having them fall out of focus.
Yeah.
I think it's because the way it is. Because if you move her to like right beside the cosplayer in front, the height difference will look a bit awkward because she would be much taller.
So I think for me, what I'd like to do is shift Diamond a little bit and then have Fos come in, have them kind of be on the same plane, but then have them like V kind of towards each other. I think
Yeah,
that could work really well with
Yeah,
the wide angle.
I agree.
Okay, I think we spent a good amount of time on this shot, so unless you guys have any other final thoughts, should move on to the next one.
Cool.
Okay, this next
yeah.
one is from someone we've been trying to pester to submit for a while, so I'm glad her and him
Yeah.
both submitted. So this is kind of a joint effort one in Heidi and Jared. So I Heidi edited the photo and is one of the cosplayers in the photo, and Jared is the photographer on this shot. So let's see who's up to start it off. Oh, it's me. It's me. I got. Or wait, no, I just talked. Sarah, you're up. Lol. I can't keep
Oh,
track.
I'm so glad Heidi finally submitted. Context: Heidi has not been doing photo editing or photo taking for very long at all, and is already just slaying at it. I am super excited.
Same for Jared and shooting.
I thought Jared had been taking her photos for a while.
I don't know. I think he's pretty new to it.
I mean, he's pro, so I mean, pro Jared. So anyway, Get out. I'm trying to get my thoughts together. Right off the bat, I really like the feel of this photo. Like, it feels super fun, especially with all. I think I'm going to assume these were added in post. These like light leak things going on.
I would
the
assume
sides.
So.
Yeah, unless they were shooting in like an arcade area. I mean, I don't know. You never freaking know.
No, this photo is that this is at Fanime, I think, because I can tell by the way.
Oh, is it?
This panel here, I've seen that Fanime and I shot there before.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I feel that too. Like, for me, like, if there's ever a shot taken at ASEN, like, I'm able to tell, like, by the smallest detail. So, because I've been there so many times.
Confirmed at Fanime. Mason Hikari photo says fences. I need to get back on track here. Anyway, I also really like the color grading in this photo. It's interesting how it's like a mix of like being those like muted color tones that we were talking about earlier, but then it also has these like fun like light textures coming in, but they somehow work together. I don't understand how that's happening, but I like love the contrast between those two dynamics. And I think this is also a really good example of grain in photo that I think is working really, really well. Still don't know how to do something like this and also correct skin and then still retain the grain texture. Like, that's super impressive to me, and I think it looks so good.
Yeah, I really like the light leak in this photo. I barely use light leaks because I don't know how, but it works really well for the shot.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like, that's the thing, is so many.
Yeah.
I feel like lots of people use light leaks, but don't try and like have it work with the lighting in the shot. Versus here, like, the lighting it aligns with, so it makes sense, and that's why it feels pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the expression on the guy, and the expression on the girl. But it feels like the one thing I would change is you know how the girl's like looking up towards something, but maybe she was looking down a bit, but the same direction. It would make a different. It will look completely different, but I think it would look as if she was looking at something. Her expression would look more as if she's looking at something. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Kind of.
Okay, for example, if you tell cosplayers to look at the building up there versus the car over there, you get two different, same direction, right? But the photo of her eyes will look different in the photo.
Okay, I know what you're saying. Yeah, it's what do they call it?
I don't know how to really explain it.
It's like not the smize, but like the. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like you can tell that they're intentionally it makes it feel more realistic as opposed to just looking off camera.
Right.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, it's hard to explain.
To me, I'm less bothered by where she's looking and more bothered by where Spike's looking, mostly because I feel like he's looking in the direction of her, but not. It doesn't feel like he's looking at her.
It looks like he's looking at her sunglasses. That's what I thought at first.
So I either wish he was looking like maybe even like something completely different in that same direction, or that he was looking at her.
That would have been really nice.
So other thoughts. I just didn't want to get this one off right away. I feel like this shot is quite grainy. And normally I don't really feel like that needs to be brought up, but because like this shot kind of has this higher key look with the flare coming in, the grain kind of feels a bit odd to me. normally I'm not an advocate for like grain reduction, but I think this might be a case where it'd be worth doing some grain reduction so that like the shadows just feel a little smoother. It kind of would make the high key, like just something about a high key photo being grainy feels kind of like counterintuitive to my brain. So
Hmm.
I think just some grain reduction could help with that.
Can we see like what ISO this was taken
Yeah,
at?
let me see if I can pull that up. If it is in the metadata.
Just
Like
see
I
if there
think
were different ways to increase the exposure without increasing ISO potentially.
I think
Yeah,
like the
Basically
grain
what I want to know.
it works pretty well with like considering how like the old the anime is. It gives it that vibe of that it's like, you
That's
know.
funny. Yeah, no, it wasn't in the metadata, but that's a funny way of looking at it.
Oh, it's not in the metadata?
No, I
Oh.
couldn't pull it up in the metadata. Uh, but yeah, I would be. I think when I look at this, something else is the shadows are both kind of blue in the shadows, and I like that. Um, but I kind of wish that the blue shadows felt more consistent across the image. What I mean by that is the blue shadows feel different on Spike than they do on Julie, and I get that they have different, like, Spike is wearing wearing blue and Julie is wearing black, so it's gonna feel slightly different. But I kind of wish they had like the same blue on the shadows, especially like
Mhm.
on Julia's face on the side there. I wish there was some like blue in those shadows. I think that
Oh, that would have been nice.
could work well. Like if you got that blue in the shadows on her and like on her face and a little bit in her hair,
Mhm.
that could work out well. Something that's also like just throwing me off, and I don't know what's causing it, but around Spike's
Shoulder.
hair, no, around Spike's hair, there's a kind of like the like fence or whatever we're gonna call that, like the grate, like has almost like a halo to it, and I don't
Yeah,
know
yeah,
if
I
that
see
was
that.
like an
Mm.
adjustment, like a adjustment brush that was applied to it,
Oh, I
and
see it
Probably
now.
it's
I didn't know
it's
what you were
giving
probably
like
talking about at
like a
first.
halo
different.
around the
Yeah.
hair, and
Oh, weird.
yeah, I
This comment's funny. Sorry. Anyway.
everybody mad serious, but Don on the bottom looks like he's looking at memes.
I was like,
Don's just a happy dude.
I have a second monitor. I'm looking it downward. But, yeah.
um in terms of the retouch, I really like it for the most part. And I don't know if like on the Spike cosplayer if like that dot on his face is like a natural mole or not, but because everything feels so clean on the retouch, my like eyes key in a little bit on that it's also like
Yeah.
there's a lot of there's shadow underneath his eye there, and it kind of like ends at that dot. So I'm not for sure if I'd like remove it. Maybe I'd brighten it, and then I'd also like brighten that shadow under his eye a little bit, kind of just as the one area of the retouch that kind of jumps out to me.
I think usually those things, I actually think it's more noticeable because there's so much grain in the photo. Like, for some reason, emphasizes for me. But, okay, wait. Heidi said that glow is from it was there before. So it's from all
Oh,
the backlight. It just
oh
looks
well, that
so
yeah.
weird. It's like so clean.
Hmm. Trying to think other thoughts I have on this.
Other thoughts I have is that it happens when I use Flare too. There's like random bubbles on their face or something. So you look on the right shoulder of his shirt, it's like a
Yeah,
random
yeah.
leak, and that happens a lot when I use Flare too. You just gotta be careful, and you can easily remove it in the overlay when you
Yeah.
use the leak.
Um last thought I had with this shot is, and I don't know how I would edit this or anything. But I kind of feel like the left side of the frame being just this kind of like bright white area and then this black bar, I kind of feel like feels a bit odd, and maybe I would want the image to end at that black bar. But that kind of throws off the overall composition of the shot. That's why I'm not sure I would like am advocating for it, but it just feels a bit odd to me with it just having that kind of negative space to the left of the image there.
I think I don't know. I think like the two light leaks coming from both sides brings the picture together. One from each corner of it. Like one's from the blue one's from the top one. The
I
pink one's
think you're
from,
wrong, Don. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know, like because if you move the black bar and you move the cosplayer over, it's just it's since the black bar.
Like I said, I'm not sure if I was really advocating for it, but it was just kind of thought that I was having with
Oh,
it.
I see. Yeah, I really like the colors of the shot though. It makes the shot.
Yeah. Any other thoughts before we jump on to the next shot?
No. Other than this is awesome, and Heidi and Jared are crazy.
Great. You're crazy.
So talented.
Okay. Then let's move on to the next photo. This one is from everyone's favorite satellite.
Oh yeah, satellite imagery.
Satellite Productions. Don, why don't you take off on this one?
Okay. First of all, the retouching is like what do you call it? Remarkable in this one. Like the hair is perfect, pose is perfect. No eye bags. Lighting is good. Composition is good, but super minor. But you can't something you can't really fix. You know, there's someone walking in left. So yeah, it's convention, so it happened.
Oh my god, I didn't even notice that. I was like, what are you talking about?
I'm questioning, is that her?
Oh,
I think that's her reflection.
is it her?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't.
it's probably it's maybe her.
Yeah, I don't think that's just a random reflection. I think that's her reflection in the left there.
Ooh, Sono Photos getting a shout out in the
Okay.
chat.
Other than that, like I like, well, composition is good. The bars of the door just leading down to her, and then the hair is flowing perfectly flowing. Takes a lot. Tries to get that type of hair shot too. But yeah, everything else looks good.
Like, I love the colors in this photo. Like, I think Joe already does a really good job with the color grading aspect, but I just love how different every single one of his photos feel. It's like he tries something different like every time. And I really like what he did here, especially.
Yeah, I enjoy the hair flip. I think in terms of like the editing around it, I feel like there's a bit of like awkward like haloing around it, especially around the yellow area. So if you could, I'd try and clean that up. I imagine there was like an adjustment with like colors, and it just kind of like haloed a bit much, and you got like a whitish area around some of the hair that was flipped.
Oh, I want to touch something really quick. Some people are bringing up that the colors feel flat, and actually in Twitch it does look flatter than what I'm seeing on my monitor.
Yeah,
so in real life,
yeah,
at least for me, it looks pretty like.
Trying to see if I can't compare it here. It looks pretty similar to me, but I'm not gonna be like. I say that with no confidence. Maybe Twitch might be changing it a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little desaturated in Twitch for me, but
yeah, it's hard because like color profiles are like a little bit different. So like I should say with all the photos, there might be like minor color differences in every photo what we're looking at to what like ends up on stream, and that's just kind of uh, limitations of like video codecs versus like photo codec, but whatever, that's a story for another day. I think I'm getting a little bit of the alien eyes in this shot.
The laser eye,
Yeah,
I want the laser eye thing, right?
yeah, they're feeling a bit strong to me. And
Yeah, it's
I was like, I
definitely a
have
bit
I have a
strong.
different alien eye feeling, but
yeah, um, uh, I think it's also because the brightening doesn't feel like it's matching up totally with the like highlight in
specular
her
highlight.
eye. The specular highlight and the highlight in her eye feels like they're coming from the same direction, which isn't
Yeah.
really how that works. Um, it's less that they're bright and more that it just feels kind of off. So I just feel a little bit thrown off by that. So I'd maybe just adjust those a little bit. They don't feel like egregious, but they do feel a bit strong. Um
Oh, thanks, Joe. He posted a photo for us to look at,
yeah,
so people can look
so
at it
so if
not on
anyone
Twitch.
likes to see what the photo looks like in reality, they can if they look in the Twitch chat. Um
I have a comment about the eyes. I brought this up
Go for
before
it.
in previous critiques. Something that's kind of throwing me off is just kind of like a perspective thing. Is the eye on the left, so her right eye, feels a little too big for me. I don't know. It was kind of one of when I first saw it, I noticed that, and also maybe because it's so bright, it's like standing out more to me. But for
Oh
me,
yeah, yeah,
it
right.
doesn't. But like her right eye feels too big.
Yeah.
Perspectives, like from a perspective, like it should be smaller. But to me, it looks like it's the same size. I mean, this is like a really nitpicky thing, but only because there's really only nitpicky things to pick on for Joe at this
Yeah.
point. So for me, it felt super obvious that it had been altered in some kind of way. But again, also it could be because it's so bright that maybe I'm just catching it more than usual. But something is off for me with that.
Something super minor, and I only because I had it happen to cosplayer I was shooting is the nail. You see, like one of the nail is black in the hand that's behind it, right? Or maybe that's a shadow. I'm not sure, but
I
then
Wait,
think
what?
the nail color,
I
the
think it's
nail.
just how the shadow is on that nail. It kind of like when it's zoomed out
Yeah, I think it's
reads
a
as
shadow.
black. I think it's she's got the same nail polish. That said, maybe adjust that nail so it looks like a little bit brighter. So
And if you zoom in on the nails, you can see that
They're not clean.
they're not clean. Yeah,
Yeah.
that I only know that because like I shot a cosplay with the same thing, and I had to
Mhm.
fill it in with like patch tool. But that's only something you'll notice when you're editing. It's something like you don't really know when it's like on Facebook or on a phone.
yeah, for sure. Um, Man, there was one other thing I was gonna say, but now I can't remember it. That sucks. uh I do think I don't think this is overly terrible, but I think it would be cool to kind of have like the left side of the photo and the right side of the photo in terms of the background feel like color wise quite different from each other. And it doesn't like bother me terribly, but I almost wish there was like a smoother transition of those colors. They almost feel like very separate from each other with the like teals and the yellows on the right side of the image and the like browns and blues of the left side. Just feels a little inconsistent. So
Someone said Dutch angle comment. Miku!
yeah, there's no we didn't comment on the Dutch angle, which means hey, guess what? It worked. Worked in this
It
image,
doesn't
guys.
bother me.
It worked in this image. Holy shit!
Wait, do you want to explain why you think it works?
Because so I think it works because of the hair flip. It makes it feel like she's got motion going forward. So the angles go with her motion. It doesn't feel like she's falling forward, and more that there's momentum of her moving forward anyways. So it kind of balances out. So even though there's a Dutch angle, it all kind of plays out. For those of you who are new to this, I've got a thing against Dutch angles. So not so much Dutch angles, but Dutch angles that are done poorly. So I think this is a good example of a Dutch angle. Go ahead, Don. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
I think someone earlier commented on how to pose the arm under. What I do is either you can either have her fingers outward or not exactly straight pointing somewhere, just like have it out, or you can have her holding the belly, or you can have it holding the elbow. So a lot of things you can do. It depends on what the character pose is doing or what you're trying to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is a kind of an odd pose when you think about it, because no one's gonna be doing that ever, but it doesn't feel unnatural to me, so I think it works.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, yeah, it kind of does.
The last pet peeve thing that I'm gonna dig into with this shot is the catch lights. So this is something that bothers me when it happens in my shot, is when you get one eye where the catch light is in the pupil of the eye, and one eye where the catch light is in the iris.
I wonder what. Oh yeah, I wonder if that's why the other eye sticks out so much to me.
Yeah,
now,
I
now
think
that you're saying that.
it might. And honestly, that usually happens more often than not because contacts, and this is part of my stigma against contacts. And I think like super easy to clone from one eye to the other, so I would have tried to have them both the catch lights appear in the pupil. So something to consider. Any other thoughts on this one before we move on to the next shot?
Yeah, some comments about the slightly misfocus, and that happens a lot, definitely with like using Sigma lenses on like DSLR. It happens to me a lot.
Oh, really?
I have to take like maybe 8 of the same poses.
I always take a bunch of shots. Once again, not an egregious example. I think like focus wise, like I can still make out. Oh, you know what? You know what I just realized? I was just gonna say that I could make out individual eyelashes. I zoomed in, and Joe painted in some eyelashes, and I'm like, "Damn, son, I never would have noticed."
I thought it looked kind of odd. Actually.
Hey, but you know what?
Well, okay. Also, I'm a female, and I'm slapping falsies on my eyeballs like every waking moment. So, anyway.
I think good job on that eyelash painting in, but yeah, I was just gonna say that's how I know the focus wasn't that bad, but then I'm just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh shit. I'm gonna zoom in. I'll do a zoomed in view for the chat so they can, or for the stream so that they can get a look on that what we're talking about. Okay. But yeah, I don't think the missed focus is exactly egregious in this image.
Yeah, it doesn't ruin the image. It's just like a photographer thing.
Yeah, I think it bothers us because we're photographers and we want sharp images.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And even this one out of focus, like that it is slightly, it's still like 100% view, especially on Facebook. And that's going to look damn sharp.
Like if the focus is off but the expression is perfect, I'll still use the missed focus shot because the expression is
yeah, I kind of wonder in this case, this being a hair flip, I'm sure he has a bunch of other shots, and I'm wondering if he probably got other ones that were sharper.
Yeah, exactly.
But this one probably had the best hair flip. That
Yeah.
would be my guess. So. Okay, cool. Let's move on to the next shot. This next one, if I can get to it, is from Night Riven Cosplay. Sorry, just trying to keep track of everything here. So I always enjoy kind of cinematic style shots, and I think this falls under that category. And I
Oh,
really,
it's where that forest is that flooded or something, right?
yeah, this was at ASN.
Yeah.
Oh.
Someone initially said trigger safety triggers me, and I'm gonna tell them they're wrong because this person's shooting, so they should have their finger on the trigger. It's not. This is fine for that. Let's not be ridiculous about it. No, this is ASN for sure. The forest was flooded this year. Normally that area is not flooded, so we were really limited at shooting. So I know the difficulty of shooting there for this year. There were not that many spots. That said, I feel like this works really well for this kind of a cosplay. I really like how the greens play off of the greens and browns in the background. I kind of wish the vibrance on those greens were taken down a little bit so they kind of matched more with her her outfit.
Mm-hmm.
Right now they're a bit too saturated for my taste, especially with the feel of this image. I also maybe would bring the overall brightness of the image down.
Oh yeah, I was gonna bring that up too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I want to bring it down, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd just bring it down a little bit, kind of really if you're gonna go for kind of a cinematic feel, I do think that kind of playing around with the toning, that the saturation and the brightness more would help you with the shot. I think if I remember correctly, when she submitted, she I think was pretty new to editing this image. I don't think she has Photoshop, so um it's knowing how little editing was done on this shot, I think it's a pretty solid outcome. Um Oops, I clicked on the wrong image and I lost my place on my screen. I wish her pose was maybe just a bit more dynamic though.
I was gonna say she feels a little relaxed. I think that's maybe why because the safety trigger thing was something I was thinking about as well, because her pose doesn't make me think that she is actively shooting something. Therefore, my brain is like, why is her finger on the trigger?
I feel like she's shooting, but I also feel like her
I don't
pose
know.
her pose feels a little scrunched up, like her
Oh,
shoulders
like hunched
feel
up, yeah.
pretty
Relax.
like tight. I would almost like to see kind of that the hand that's by her knee on the ground. I would maybe like to see that moved kind of like more back and behind her. Um Kind of, and if you had uh the person there with you, I would like to see the cape flipped with this shot.
Oh, that would have been really cool.
Really add some like
Actually,
emotion to this.
Neil just brought that up. Actually, he said this photo is good, but it lacks momentum, and I totally
Yeah,
agree.
if you added like a bit of like, kind of emotion feel, like with the cape kind of flipped up, so it felt like she was coming from a direction. Um, I think that could work really well.
Mhm.
Like I think the left hand is a bit too relaxed, because if you were actually shooting at something, it would be more further out, and because like you know how guns recoil, right? Like, shooting at that position is kind of like unsafe. But
I don't know if I really feel that way.
I don't know.
So much. To me, more anything with shooting, it's that, and I mean you can shoot with with eyes open. Um, but I would definitely, like, if it were me and I wanted to make them feel like I was shooting, I'd have them actually aim down the sights of the gun with one eye closed.
Oh, I see. I see what you mean. Yeah, I like the greens of the image. I feel the blues a bit like, so if you lower the saturation or the brightness of the blue, work. And I like how you see in the right riverbank, it's not empty. There's something that leads. There's something in the riverbank that leads to the subject.
Yeah. Trying to think. I almost maybe would have liked this shot from a bit higher of an angle as well. Not entirely certain on that, but I think that could have looked a little cool as well.
I think that could have added some nice motion, though. I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really do think that this shot pops a lot more if the color is just adjusted, though. I think the greens and the saturation of the greens in the background are like my number one thing that is bothering me with this shot.
Like, I think if you had, since she's slightly, have like a flare in the top right corner, like a not like a super strong, super light one, but leads the eye from corner to her eyes. They would help.
Yeah. Cool. Any more thoughts on this one before we jump into the next one?
No.
Cool. Then let's move on to the next one, which is another one from a frequent submitter in Lou. Sarah, you wanna lead us off on this shot?
Yeah. So just so people know, Lou does a series of half portrait photos of photographers, not photographers. Wow, cosplayers. I'm sorry, my bad. Which I think is pretty cool.
It's an interesting approach.
Yeah,
I
it
like
is.
it because it kind of gives him his own, like, almost signature, which not a
Like
lot of.
like you see it and you're like, that's by Lou.
Yeah.
I want to say that I actually really like the lighting in this photo. As someone who suffers mad hard when it comes to shooting in like broad daylight, I like the shadows and highlights that are happening, like the way that shadows are being casted on her face. I think it provides a really interesting kind of like fashiony look, if that makes any sense. That being said, I think the highlights on her face are a tad bright for me, but I mean, other than that, I think it has a really cool feel to it. Also, the retouch on this is super clean. Like, this is such a clean edit that sometimes with things like this, like, flaws are more easily like recognizable, but I think the cleanup on the image itself as a whole is done really well.
Yeah, I totally agree on the highlights. Specifically, the one on her nose is feeling a bit hot to me. Um, I'd try and get that toned down a bit. Um, that said, there's something about this shot that I really really love, and I love how her hair is falling out of focus. The way it's falling out of focus in this shot just looks so good to me. I have a hard time, like, really stating why it feels that way. I think it's just because it goes from this kind of really heavy texture, and then just immediately falls off into blur and feels really soft. So I really like how that part of the image is. It's just like one of those things. It's not a main focus of the image by any means, but I just think it looks really, really good.
I think the thing that stands out for me in this photo is the expression in her eyes. Usually when you take these type of, I try to do it sometimes. It's either the cosplayer looking directly at you, and kind of times, or they're looking too far off. It doesn't look right when you try to cut their face in half. And in this one, she's like slightly away, but not too much that it affects them. And it's not like she's looking directly at the camera either. So you can see that she's showing some kind of mood in the photo, and not just like a generic, straight on, direct kind of look.
Yeah, no, her eye contact looks really nice. It does. Her eyes feel like they're very expressive, which is I think
Exactly.
even
Yeah.
harder when wearing contacts. Um, so that part of the shot really turned out well. I also really like the colors in the shot. We're like really doing the like primary colors with we've got blues, we've got yellows, and we've got reds. And I think kind of having those three primary gives a really nice like color base for the shot. So we just hear like everyone typing. I also really just like the image is really crisp and sharp. The amount of detail in her eyes or like around her eyelashes and right around her eyes is really nice. I think her makeup's on point.
I love her
Yeah.
makeup. I don't know what the character is, but it's super cool. Like her headpiece.
Looks like Moana. I'm not sure.
I was gonna ask if it was Moana, only because like flowers in her hair, but I don't know actually.
Yeah.
Maybe some like artists, you know.
Yeah, it's super beautiful. And I love the expression on her face. Actually, like I feel like whenever someone's like super close up, I'm like, please don't. I'm so uncomfortable right now. But she's like so serene and all about
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
Like, most of the time they're staring directly at the camera.
It's Lou says on the Facebook chat that it's her original content.
Oh my god, I forgot about the Facebook chat.
Don't worry, Sarah, I got you.
Oh no.
I think only like other nitpicky things that I would do is I think you could have gone like a bit further with the retouch. Like there's some areas I would maybe have smoothed out a little bit. Like the inside corner of her eye, I feel like that could maybe have been cleaned up a little bit. I feel like there's a bit like of a notch in brightness, like above, like in the opposite corner of her eye, but above it and like right underneath her eyebrow. That's like feeling a bit odd. I'd maybe do just a little bit of texture cleanup. Wouldn't take it too far. There's some like small spots that I would have approached, but overall, it's looking pretty nice. I think maybe also like just cleaned up, smoothed out the colors on her neck a little bit. Yeah, I think that's all I got. Any other final thoughts on this one, Sarah, Don?
I just like how clean it is. I think it's done really well.
Like what I would have done is fix that patch on her forehead. Like, you know where the wig connects her skin? Fix that patch on the top so like it's more even out, like a circle. But otherwise,
I think that's her natural hair.
Yeah, I think it's her natural hair, but she's got
Yeah.
like kind of like almost like a cat ear going on. I think that's where there is like wig hair.
Oh, I see.
oh, I see. I was saying, I see what.
That's why I was like, I see wig hair, but like I don't think that's a wig, and I was kind of confused for a second there.
Yeah, but it's just like a symmetrical OCD thing.
Yeah. Cool.
That was really nice. I really like the expression.
Damn.
Yeah, let's I think with that, let's move on to the next shot. This one is from Maho Maddie. Why don't you lead us off, Don?
Looking at the shot, and I really like how the go into it tells like a story, okay, of to the cosplayer. Like, it's something I try to do a lot, but I never do it right. And so I stick to portraits and stuff. I really like colors. The green, I think it's a bit saturated, oversaturated, but it doesn't really hurt at all.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I feel like those greens are feeling a bit saturated, especially like for their brightness levels. They're feeling pretty
Yeah.
saturated. I would have tried to knock them down a little bit.
And something something I pay attention to a lot is where they're putting their arms, and right for this photo it looks like she's just resting on her leg, and it doesn't seem like she's intentionally putting it there. She is there. I would have liked it if she just maybe put it on her shoulder, put it on her right knee, on top of her right knee, to make it look more intentional.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I really do like the one that's going up to her hat though.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Other one thing that's jumping out to me that's real easy fix is the color fringing that's happening on the leaf in the upper right corner of the image. You're getting that purple on the edge. I think that's
Oh, I see that.
pretty
Yeah.
easy to cut that down. Just go into Lightroom and enable your chromatic aberrations and adjust the purple slider. Fix
I think
that
it'll
right up.
depend on the lens. For like the more mid-range lenses, it's a bit harder for that like, especially that purple. It not you can tone it down, but it won't way out, but it'll still help.
I
I
think
mean,
I think that would
Oh, sorry.
clean up pretty well. If
I
not,
also just would have cloned it out at this point. Like it's pretty
yeah,
easy.
it's also
actually.
it's very noticeable to me too. So I would have tried to clean it up to some extent. But I think even so, like the chromatic aberrations option in Lightroom should be able to fix that up pretty well.
Yeah.
I really like the lighting on her. I wish the rest of the image I this isn't I'm trying to figure out a way to say this without like I was gonna say the lighting on her looks awesome and the lighting on the image the rest of the image doesn't, but that's not quite how I mean that. I think the lighting on her is just so on point that the rest of the image doesn't feel quite as nice lighting wise. I think doing a bit more like dodging and burning on the background could help. Kind of like burning those corners to kind of focus on her a bit more because she's dodge and burned really well, but she's kind of dark. But and there's lots of other like bright spots on the image, so I'd kind of try and dodge and burn to get a little bit darker and focus a bit more.
I think for a lot of cosplayers with huge hats, it's really hard to get good lighting sometimes because the head a lot of the shadow
Relatable.
Oh yeah.
light, and it prevents you from getting good catch rates as well. So for
I
lighting to
think
come
they did a pretty good job though,
yeah, it's really
considering.
good.
Yeah, especially because they're in shadow too. Like
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like my if I took it, their face would have been like completely concealed. Can't.
Yeah, I was curious. A quick like did a really sloppy job of Photoshop of bringing down the saturation on those greens, and I think it helps her pop a little bit more out of the image. So that would be my number one takeaway from this shot is just it would feel quite a bit stronger if you could just bring down the saturation on those greens. Trying to think. Overall, though, I really like this image. I'm also a sucker for 16:9 crops.
Me too.
Yeah, I really like the framing of
yeah.
this image.
I really love how the plants are framing her, the leaves.
Yeah, for sure.
Feels really nice. Um, yeah. Any other thoughts before we jump into the next one? I'll take that as a no. So we'll move on to the next shot. Okay, this one is
Oh my
from
god. Person.
this one's from Neo Lin. Was this the same person that had the awesome dodge and
Yes.
burn last time? I think so.
Oh my god. And then I found out they're like 20 years old. I'm like, well, I'm doing nothing with my life. It's fine.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah, right off the bat, continuing the theme on the last shot, dodge and burn is awesome.
Yeah.
The
Fucking
lighting on her
killer.
like cheek feels just great. Her nose, like you've got like that strong highlight on her nose, but it still
Works.
feels really really great. I super dig how the beads are coming towards the camera, and kind of creating that bokeh. Once again, you were getting a bit of chromatic aberrations on those, though. I would probably try and clean that up
Mhm.
in um in Photoshop, or in Lightroom, not Photoshop. Uh, the probably the only thing I'm thinking that is I'm not a big fan of with this shot, and maybe some people will disagree with me,
Mhm.
is the grain. And once again, I feel like the grain throws me off because this is a bright image, and yet we're having a grain that makes me feel like it's a high ISO shot. I think this grain was
Mhm.
added in post. I don't
Yes, I
think
do agree with that.
Yeah, I don't think you would be getting the sharpness of this photo and the grain without adding this in post, and it feels too
Mhm.
strong to me. I'm not opposed to adding grain, but it just feels a bit strong to me in this image.
Yeah. I want to say I actually came across a photo on a photographer I follow on Instagram today that does a similar. I don't really know how to describe this like color grading, but it's like the pastel look, but it's like muted. But then there's always like those pops of color. Like it feels very like fairy like almost. And I feel like they're doing that with this image, which you don't see a lot in cosplay photography, especially like it's all about getting those like vibrant uh anime colors, for lack of a better term. I just really like how fashiony this one almost feels. Like you'd see it like in a like an indie editorial or something. I don't know. I really dig it.
Yeah, I like the colors too, especially that kind of those muted greens in the background, kind of like those blue
Muted,
greens.
mellow greens. That's what it is.
Mellow greens, TM.
Yeah, I like the faded colors of the image, and you can tell it's taken with like a wider, like around 35mm lens because of the necklace. He's he or he was it she? Yeah, is it he or he? I'm not sure. Neil? I'm not sure.
Neil?
Neo
Neil's a dude.
Lin?
Yeah,
Oh,
Neil.
Neil Lynn. They.
No. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, what
Let's
does it
just say
say?
they.
Yeah, so they probably held the necklace while taking the photo, adding the really nice bokeh from the necklace, and it leads directly to the face, which is perfect for the photo. The only thing I would fix is the left arm. If you just straighten that left arm so that it goes with the elbow that's already straight, then uh, with the composition. Because right now her arms get chopped off, but if you intentionally make it straight, it'll intentional as if it was chopped off.
Yeah,
Super minor. That was already great.
yeah. The only thing that's kind of bothering me now that I'm looking at it more is right on her wrist. It feels like I don't know what it is, but it feels like there's a panel like lifting off of her, of what is should be attached to her arm. It kind of feels
Oh,
like
the
it's
lace.
yeah.
Yeah.
It feels very different. It feels different than the lace that's on her arm.
Yeah, I wonder what that is.
So I don't know what that is, but if that feels just like, to me, I would think it was a bit of kind of wardrobe malfunction.
Mhm.
Nothing else to say other than that. Just keep an eye out on that. Um, yeah. So some people saying that film would Porta 400 film at high shutter speed would give a similar look. Yes, but guess what? You're not getting that sharpness. Like if you wanna play into the look of film,
Mhm.
I think this image is way too sharp to feel like film. Like the sharpness in her hair or the sharpness in her eye, it does not look like a film shot to me. It looks like a digital shot that was overlaid with film. I could be way wrong, so like I'm not gonna to be like I'm absolutely right and for sure on this, but I don't get that feeling from this shot that it feels like it was shot on film and it's got that film grain look. Just feels like
Like,
high ISO placed over it. So
like
that's my
what
two
I'm
cents.
curious about the photo is if you look in her catch lights, I can't tell what kind of light source it is. Maybe it's the necklace. I'm not sure. Wait, do you
Wait, what do
guys
you mean?
Yeah,
know?
the
Look
catch
at the
lights
catch
are
lights.
pretty different from one eye to the other.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
Oh,
I don't know.
it's some kind
Maybe
of
it's the
object.
necklace that's given that light there.
Yeah, it's definitely not like some sort of softball.
or do you think it's also maybe because the eye on the right is maybe a little more in shadow? It looks like just enough that it. Who knows, dude? Light makes no sense.
I don't know, but I
I
really
don't
like
know.
the catch lights and the thing I
Yeah.
don't see
Me
a lot.
too.
Cool. Um with that, think we're ready to move on to the next shot. Let's do that. Okay. Sarah, why don't you lead us off on this one from Robert?
I'm gonna say this pose was like super ambitious. Like I think we brought this up last stream too, where when you see like really dynamic poses where people just kind of like just go for it, and I think this is cool that this cosplayer was able to do that, and then the photographer was able to capture it like it's a still from a movie or something. Um, that being said, I think I like the lighting in this. I think it was shot at night, right? With a softbox. I'm only hesitating because now I'm
Yeah.
not sure because the blues in the background are kind of confusing me.
I
But
don't think this is shot at night. I think it's strobed, but it doesn't feel like quite at night. It feels
got
a
it.
bit too
Oh,
bright in the background. I could be wrong, but
Yeah, yeah. I wasn't quite sure, but I think the lighting is pretty interesting.
there's
Um,
definitely two lights going on.
lights.
Yeah, from the back and then
Oh
you see
yeah.
the shoulder. Yeah, and the
yeah,
leg.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think that's pretty fun though. And I like the. I mean, I like whatever they did to it. I like the kind of like nighttime grungy feel that it has for the tone of this, especially since it is an actiony shot. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like how dynamic the shot feels. It's hard to do action shots, so
As a photographer and a cosplayer, by the way.
yeah, so I really like how this shot feels action wise. Um, yeah.
How do you guys feel about the? So like, I'm not sure if the effects on the ground, the mud spill is it part of the photo or was it added in post? Not
Yeah, I
sure.
think it was added in post. It's one of those ones where I think it feels really good when you first look at it, but the more
Mhm.
you look at it, the more off it feels. So I would maybe like I feel like there's a bit of like haloing around the added in effect on the bottom there. If you could like get the remove that, play around with like the levels on it and clean it up a bit more, I think it would read a bit better.
And another thing, for me at least, it looks like there was, well, if there was two photographers, one photographer was taken straight on, and the other photographer was taking it from the side. And this looks like a photo that the photographer took from the side. I would have liked to see a straight on shot where she's looking directly at the camera. Dynamic for me at least. Well, the mood would be different for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I also kind of like the colors of the image as well. Like, you know, even though it doesn't look nighttime, I feel like it's got that strong. The colors make it feel late and kind of
Like
works well.
the strobe at the back really helps with the separation, because if you didn't have the strobe on the back to highlight her
Oh yeah,
her shoulder
no,
and her legs,
yeah, the shot
she
would
would
be a
look like
no-go.
completely lost in the background for sure because of the dark costume she has.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So good job on that part.
Yeah, so someone said that that they would maybe like to see like effects added to the gunshots if you're gonna add, or the guns if you're gonna add effects to the ground, and I would agree with that. If you're gonna spend the time doing the effects on the ground, you might want to add them to the guns as well. Yeah, I would maybe also have wanted to see the a little bit of color added to that rim light strobe. Not saying it needs to be like, you know, a strong color, but like maybe if you just used like a CTO to warm it up and give it just like a little bit of color difference, it could help kind of add to the mood a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it would change a lot.
Okay, I think with that we should mosey on over to the next shot. So next one is from Robert. Or did I screw that up order wise? Man.
No, yes, it's
No.
Sophie, not Rob.
What do you mean?
No, I think I skipped over one. Sorry. No,
Oh,
or did I? Oh, gosh.
Sophie.
Sophie. Oh, no, I forgot to. Yeah, no, you're right. I'm just screwing myself up. Sorry, guys. Then I lied. Don, why don't you want to jump into this one?
Okay, I really like the two moods in the shot. Well, I call it dual lighting. One's from the sun and one's from the shade. So it's like a split look, and it's highlighting one side of the for this one. It highlights the ring in her photo and the one part of her eye and that red cape she has. And the fact that she's looking upwards makes that nice small catch light that you see that you can. And yeah, the mood's pretty nice. I would have well, in terms of color grade wise, I would have made the shadows a bit more, give it a bit more photo. But I like her expression off the bat, and I like the catch light because I'm all about those catch lights.
Yeah, I really like the catch light and interact. It's hard. Like my biggest problem with this shot is not the kind of like the fact that the lighting split on her face. It's that
Nope.
the collar blocks the lighting, kind of makes a hard line on her face. I think I would like this shot a lot more if it could like continue down and have that split lighting across her entirety of her face.
Oh, I see what you mean.
But
yeah.
because
If
that
she was, like,
collar
kicked down, yeah.
blocks it, it doesn't feel quite as strong to me in that way. So
Oops.
I really love the warm, cool color scheme in this image. I'd almost push that a little bit further as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Because there's like a really nice orange and the highlights really nice, blues in the shadows. Why don't and you've got reds and blues in the cosplay. I would just go off that and take it even further. So yeah. Framing wise in this image, I think I would like it pulled back a little bit. I'd like to see a bit more of the cosplay and kind of get a bit more like understanding of like her hand. The hand is like right in front of their face. I'd like to kind of see a bit more of their arm to get the context of where the hand's coming from, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
That and just to see more of the cosplay. Someone else said it. That this is something that was bothering me as well. As Fluffy Fox said, I don't like the metal railing behind them. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan.
I thought it was a table at
yeah,
first.
it could be a.
Oh, it's not a table?
It's not.
No, it is.
Oh,
It's a
I thought it was
railing.
a
You're right.
table. Oh, interesting.
But yeah, either way, I'm not a big fan of having
Same.
that in the background there. If you could shift, if it's possible, to
Just
shift
slightly.
over so that you could get like maybe more of that solid wall in the background and not getting the railing in there, it could be a bit stronger to not have as unclean of a shot. I think. All right.
Yeah, I think that is nothing much else. Because the lighting's good, because if you take during the noon, like afternoon, her the shadows in her face will be so black because of the difference in lighting. This is probably taking sunset for sure.
It's like almost golden hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the nice mood about it.
Yeah, it is nice. I think like what Andrew said earlier, just showing more of the nice, because it almost feels like a portrait, but because it's cropped like horizontally, it makes me think it's not really a portrait.
I see.
Yeah.
Maybe a vertical crop could have also worked for this, and we would have seen less of the table railing or whatever that is in the background. They were asking if Don is cutting out for anyone else.
I don't know. I feel he's cutting out ever so slightly for me ever so often, and they're hearing what I'm hearing. So
I think it's because my mic is behind the monitor and it has to pick up my voice. Sometimes it doesn't pick it up. But, okay, I try to talk loud.
Yeah, I don't know. That might be what it is, but hopefully it won't be too problematic from here on out, especially considering we have only one final image. You guys got any thoughts on that, or we should move on to the next one?
I think I'm good.
I'm good.
Cool. And Joe, we are using Discord. If anyone has better solution than Discord, I am all ears, by the way.
We've tried all the things.
Yeah. So let's move on to this final shot. And this one is from someone else who's submitted a bunch in Ustav, or a piece of light. Let's make sure it's on my screen so I can comment on it while actually looking at it. This is so different of a shot than what I'm used to.
Than last week's?
Yeah. Especially from last week's last month's.
Oh wow,
submission.
Last time. Sorry.
From Ustav and spooked. It's such a unique look. Even when you see like armored cosplay like this, you rarely see kind of the lighting taken in this direction, and I really really dig this.
It definitely looks like it was taken in some cave, but I'm not sure.
I think it might just be like trees above her, but like it's just such a like the lighting so
you're right.
unique that like it just gives, you know what, we can pull this one out of the bag. It's such an ethereal looking shot.
I don't think we've said that once yet.
Yeah. bringing the word back.
Bring it back.
But excuse me, the kind of fiery glow of this shot is so freaking cool. This is another one where like that we have the alien eyes in, but like, man, yeah, of course it works in this shot. Like, of course it does. The only thing when I'm looking at her eyes, and I wonder if they were like, I don't know if those were Photoshop brightened. I feel like there's maybe like some UV light in this shot. I could be wrong, but it's got kind of that look to it.
Glow in
Is
the dark.
Yeah, her pupils don't feel like they're the same spot in her eyes.
Oh no.
So
Maybe. Oh, or maybe
No.
chopped
I
on eyes.
I don't know if they're
Well, I
shopped
think are
on.
these
I think they're
Oh,
just
UV
there's,
light.
like,
He
there's
says
like those
UV
full
light.
sclera lenses.
yeah,
He
I
said
yeah.
UV.
Yeah.
He says there was no Photoshop for that. It was a UV light,
Oh, you
which,
can see it kind of on her face actually.
yeah, that's what I
As I point
thought.
to my screen that none of you can
Yeah.
see. Anyway.
It's but like
Oh,
just her
Lord.
pupils feel slightly off, and I would have tried to like Photoshop them so they kind of feel like they're
Yeah.
the same.
I know it's just like an outcome of scleras. They can get real freaking weird sometimes, but nothing will Photoshop can't fix. I think for me, it's a tad bit saturated.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
that for me, I would have liked to play around with like some color curves in this. I'd like to see those highlights taken just a smidge more yellow, and the shadows are like pretty much pure black. I'd like to maybe see a bit of color in those shadows as well. So kind of like get a nice like really deep red, because like the image has like a lot of orange in it. And that way you could really kind of emphasize the fiery nature of with, you could even do that with like a gradient map too, where the highlights were yellow and the shadows were a dark red, and then lower the opacity of that. I think that could also have a similar effect and work out really well.
Something that the first thing I noticed when I saw this photo, it was I'm not sure if it's intentional or not. The focus on the horn and the arm. I would have, well, for me, I would have liked it better on the eyes, but maybe it was intentional.
Yeah, I don't know. Someone asked what the metadata was. This was since I can pull it up, it's f1.8 1/200th of a second at ISO 1250, 85 millimeters. Man, I just really like the vibe of this shot. Like, it's a fiery cosplay that just the lighting works so well with the cosplay, and it's a kind of lighting you probably couldn't use all that much in like most cosplay photos, and it works
sure.
so well in this shot, and I super dig it.
I mean, it looks like it came out of a game or something.
Yeah, this
So
this
cool.
lighting is not something you see in cosplay photos pretty much ever.
Yeah, I love that he's experimenting with different things. Pretty cool.
Lighting reminds me of the Diablo 3.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Yeah. The only other thing I'm thinking of is the sharpness of the image. I'd almost maybe have tried to shoot this like with a bit more depth of field, so that you were trying to get like, I'd like the horns are in focus, but like her face is falling out of focus. I think if you could have gotten like her face and the horns in focus, that could have felt a little bit stronger. But either way, it's not. That's a nitpick for this shot.
Can we all appreciate Athel's comment in the chat right now? I'm dying.
I really this Athos. I really got to give it to Ustav for committing himself to eternal damnation in hell so he could do a photo shoot in the fiery pit of tortured souls. Please give Satan my regards.
Oh my god. Oh my god, he just responded, hell cannot stop me from photo shoot. That's the spirit.
Cool. You guys have any final thoughts on this shot before we wrap it up for the night?
No, Ustav,
This is
keep
great, yeah.
experimenting. It's
I
so
love the
cool to see.
Yeah, it's really unique, really interesting. So with that, we have reached the end of the critique. Thank you guys so much for joining, and thank you, Don, for being here with us.
Thanks for bringing me on.
Yeah. Just so we can give you a bit of a shout out. Where can people find your work?
You can find my work on Instagram or the Facebook page at Dolce Photography. And I probably post more on my Instagram than the page, but because I make the page post on my Facebook. I make the Instagram post on my page, so everything from my page is on my Instagram.
Awesome.
Everyone's
Yeah.
on Facebook. Big mood.
So since I feel like this is something I should do, Sarah, where can people find your work as well?
Hey, why?
I don't know. Just say it, Sarah. You're just like,
On
why would people want to find
On
my work?
Instagram. I post the most on Instagram. I've pretty much almost 100% given up on Facebook.
And Twitter, Sarah. You can say Twitter too. I know.
Oh, and Twitter. Don't follow me on Twitter right now. It's time.
What is it? Just gonna be free?
Mm-hmm.
Oh God.
But I do post on Twitter a lot though. Like I'll usually try to cross post, but sometimes things I'll post on Twitter only, just to keep it different. But Instagram is the best.
So you probably, if you're here, you most likely probably already know where to find me. But I'm on Facebook and Instagram and Twitch. I'm trying to do more editing streams now, so if those interest you, check those out. Wanted to say thank you to everyone who gave the channel a follow during the stream. For whatever reason, I'm using StreamJar and it did not post in the chat for any follows or anything, which is super stupid. I don't know why that's being that. So I don't fucking know. If once again, just plugging this slightly, if you feel like giving a tip, if you enjoyed this and feel like leaving one, no obligation whatsoever to. Do not feel like I'm trying to get people to it all. But if you are interested in, the link for that is in the bottom of Twitch.
You want to explain what the Stream Deck is? Maybe for people who don't know.
So I'm trying to get a Stream Deck, which is essentially like a macro keyboard so that I can better manage the stream and do things. I don't know if StreamJar does anonymous donations. I'll figure that out. I've been having some problem. I think StreamJar is the most aesthetically pleasing overlays, but I've been having like problems with them, so I might be switching to Streamlabs. Gosh. Why is all this shit so much work? But yeah, that's something I need to figure out. Appreciate you all for watching. As far as the next critique, we're gonna try and switch things up, and we're gonna have a cosplay guest and get some perspective from the other side of the aisle here. Our next guest is going to be Fawn Nina. So tune in for that. We don't know the exact date, but it'll probably be a Thursday in couple 2-3 weeks, something like that. Keep an eye out for that. We don't know for sure when the date is going to be, but once we know, I'll announce it on Facebook and Instagram. But for now, if you want to get photo submission in for it, it's submissions.vontography.com. I'll post that in the chat if people are interested. If you have any feedback for me in terms of like ways I can improve the stream, I'm more than happy to listen. Shoot me a message. I greatly appreciate it. If you have any Don, if you have any suggestions as to like how to like improve like audio quality over Discord, I'm all ears.
We don't know what we're doing, so I mean, I just got a mic.
Yeah, the hunger service. I saw your DM. I quick glanced over it. I'll have to
Thank you.
look at it once we're done here. But yeah, I'll need to figure that out.
He just
but-
sings LA Senpai.
But yeah, no. Thanks everyone for joining. It's been a blast. And with that, we're gonna call it a night. I
All
hope
right.
everyone has an
Bye.
awesome night, and
Guys.
see you all soon.
Bye.